Hello, everybody. This is Scooby.
And I'm Steven. Welcome back to another episode of The Feedback, where we're just two dudes that like to get together, have some conversation about music, share with each other new songs, typically, and then have a discussion about them and many, many, many other things that may or may not be music related. Today, Scoops has a song for us. Why don't you go right ahead?
So today I have chosen a song by the band KNOWER. And I'm saying it like that because it's written in all caps. KNOWER.
That makes sense.
KNOWER. A person who knows things. A knower. I don't know. The song is titled It's All Nothing Until It's Everything. And it is off of the album Knower Forever, which was released in 2023. Genre-wise, it's a lot of stuff. I think
Okay.
the best way to categorize it is there's some funk in there. There's some EDM influences, even though it's all played on analog instruments. KNOWER is a band that do a lot of different things. I don't know if you've heard of them at all, Steven.
I have not. I am not a knower of knower.
All right. So KNOWER is, I believe the only two permanent members are Genevieve Artadi, who is the singer, and Lewis Cole, who does basically everything. Primarily, he's a drummer, but he also can play most instruments. When he plays bass, he can play real bass or synth bass. He's very talented. He's just a very talented musician. He's also a very good singer. This is actually a live performance that I have for us, featuring
nice.
Lewis Cole on the drums, Genevieve Artadi on vocals, Sam Wilkes on bass, Jacob Mann on the keyboards, and oh god, his last name is so hard to say, Thistlethwaite. I have a slight lisp, so that's really hard to say for me. Ray Thistlethwaite on piano.
Thistlethwaite?
Thistlethwaite.
Thistlethwaite.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Now there's
that's a
there's also
unique.
a string section in this song, which it's like 15 people, so I'm not going to name them all. If you want to know, you can go look up this video and give everyone their credit.
Absolutely. That's a lot of people in a string section. That's awesome that they have, is it like a full, almost orchestra? Like a mini orchestra, would it be?
Well, I'll let you watch the video so you can see how they pull this off.
Okay.
They have a couple live performance videos spread out throughout the years, and they are all they're bonkers. They're all such talented musicians, and they're the kind of band that, like, I try to push everyone towards, like, there's a lot going on here, and you should check it out. I bet you'll like at least some part of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. That's actually a really exciting way to look into something, too, because of the fact that there's a lot going on. There's got to be something you appreciate, right?
Yeah. So, with that said, I think it's time for us to just jump on in. What do you say?
Yeah, I think so. I'm already ready to go. I'm ready to watch the stream. I'm ready for it.
All right. So, this is KNOWER. It's all nothing until it's everything.
Silence is always listening. Pause me. We talk a little bit bigger. You go, the smaller it is. Is way too fast for getting sad pacing. And mom's minivan, I think I might be going too fast. here. Let's get the hate. My chicken walker is valet parked. Black hole, I've always been a star. Stay good, like Nathan Wood. Real way, the only way to get far.
Well,
At first, I didn't know what to start off with, so the long pause was a mixture of is he gonna say something first or should I say something first? But also like I I'm not entirely sure where to start.
yeah.
And I don't mean that in a bad way at all, but there is definitely a lot going on. Some words that I would use to describe it are definitely like it's all over the place, right?
Yes.
But not terrible. There's definitely a lot going on, but it's in rhythm, but then it's also not, and at the same time it still works together. There's some parts that are very ethereal and transcendent, kind of when that string section comes in for the very first time. It just kind of like it goes from that really rough, like punchy, to a little more smooth and like it almost changes the feeling of the song for a minute, but then it comes back into it and everything kind of comes together. I enjoyed it. I can't say that this is something that I would listen to regularly. It's one of those things where if I'm having a day where I'm overstimulated and I put this on, it's only going to make me more overstimulated. It's one of those, if I got into the car and you're already listening to it after the song was over, I would say that was great, but it's too much for me today. Today, on this specific occasion, it was not. I was ready for it without knowing that I was ready for it, which is good. I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it, but I can't think of a good word to use right now. Maybe it'll come to me later.
Okay.
But for right now, my first impressions were I like it a lot. I think it's really fun how they recorded that, and I'm glad you showed the live recording of it, and I'm also glad that you said I'm going to let you watch the video and decide, because it was that. They really were a small orchestra in the house. I'm assuming it was a house. It looked like it was one specific house, and they were all in different sections. So this is one of those ones where you should go watch it to make sure you find the right one. Maybe we will link the video that we watched in comments somewhere, wherever this is being shared at, or you can listen to right now, or in the description maybe we can put it, so you can find the right one. But it's really fun to watch the video. The video is definitely, I think, a reason why I liked it a lot. And then also that bass line was a really fun, strong bass line throughout. So it kind of helped you carry through the whole song.
Yes. Part of me kind of regrets that before we went into it, I mentioned that there was a string section and kind of that whole orchestral section. Because the first time I listened to this song and watched this video, it's something that he's done before. And by him, I mean Lewis Cole, in his videos, both with Nowhere and in his solo work, that they're performing in this house, which I don't think it's his house, but who knows, maybe it is. And the recording starts off very tight on just the core band, which in this case was 4 members. They're all in this upstairs hallway in this staircase that's literally just a hallway. They've got a drum kit, a keyboard, the bass player's there, Genevieve is there singing, and then it pans downstairs and there's literally not an entire orchestra, but a large group of musicians, violins, cellos, tubas, trombones, trumpets, just chilling in the living room, playing this song. And for me, the first time I heard the song, when it hits that second chorus and the strings start to swell, it was honestly like an emotional experience where I was like, oh my god, I wasn't expecting this, and it's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. That was kind of how I felt too when that kind of showed up, because you mentioned that there'd be some strings, but you didn't allude to how much. And I think that your way of saying, well, let's see what happens. I want you to see how they did it. I think that was a good way to start it off, and I think that it's a good callback to what you were just saying too. They did do a very nice job of, like, they didn't just show you that from the get-go. They let that build. It was very nice that it was just kind of got more and more and more, right? Like, I think it was also fun too, and how you said, where the second chorus comes in and the strings show up and they start to show, and then they go back to the core group, and then they go back to the strings and they pick back up and they're playing again. And then it'll go back to the core group and it's showing everything, but then it brings the horns in later. Like it like you said, it doesn't show it all at once, and it's like, oh, and it's just getting more and more and more. It's one of those, like, when they're doing those the videos, it's like, oh, that's cool, you can do that. Okay, show me how you did that though. Show me how you recorded it, and like you just keep putting a camera further and further back so you can just see everything that's going on. That was really fun. But then seeing, like you said, they were in like a hallway with the soundproofing, and the more they go back and forth, you start looking a little bit more. Right above the keyboardist is a camera that's just like fixed straight down for the first shot, and then like people start popping in with phones, and they're like recording other angles and recording this angle. It's really neat.
I think part of what makes it so impressive is just you can tell it's just very DIY, and yet it's mixed amazingly, especially for being, a live performance just in a house somewhere. Listen, man, I have tried to do like house recordings. It's not easy. Stuff comes out sounding like garbage. So the fact that there's so much going on here, and it's just mixed so perfectly, it's like there's a lot of work that has to go into it.
That was another thing I noticed, and I'm glad that you mentioned it too. Absolutely. That was something I wanted to ask too, was that, but you kind of touched on it there. How difficult must it be to do something like that? And then also, how good of a microphone slash setup slash do they know what they're doing as far as like production work goes, that they're literally in a house making all this go on with just regular microphones next to speakers, because you can see some of them too. Like the one, I can't remember what instrument it was right now, but there's like a microphone tucked in underneath right in front of the speaker of the guy where he's working, because of how little space they have and how clean they need to get that audio of just that instrument. So they have like a directional mic just shoved into a spot where it's getting deafened on all the other sides, so it can only hear that. Like, and then to open up into a big room and have easily a dozen violinists, celloists, bassists just sitting there, and there's no offensive echo, because that's the biggest thing is the echo, right?
Yeah, the echo, the reverb.
Because I mean, unless the house is just made for the acoustics, or they have a whole bunch of the sound wave absorbing panels in there, like that's got to be a massive feat to get all that done. One question I had too, it said when she was singing, there's times where it said like over reverb. Is that what it said?
Overdub. Yeah.
Overdub. What was that?
So that means that after the recording, she went through and recorded more vocals that they layered on top. So, I mean,
Okay.
even though this is a live recording, I'm sure there was some post-editing done on it. Case in point being that overdub. But, even in that case, it's like, they pointed out, they're like, yeah, this is something we did, just so you don't think we're doctoring this in, like,
Yeah.
or overproducing it, maybe, is the right way to say it, instead of doctoring.
Yeah, because you don't want to make it sound artificial then, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure it can get that way very easily. I know I never really did anything with like sound edits, excuse me, or anything that had to do with like blending in audio.
Right.
But I do have familiarity in the sense with like editing pictures and then doing things with creation of imagery and stuff through Photoshop, and then also just from editing like a picture that you already had and then trying to get things to match or change up or fixing things. It gets to be difficult if you don't know how to properly lay it, and it can get muddy fast. And it doesn't matter who it is. You can be like, I don't know what's wrong, but something doesn't seem right. And that just means like you mess with it too much,
Yeah.
right? If you mix too many colors together, it gets muddy. If you mix too many sounds together, it gets muddy. So I'm sure it's really simple for that to happen in that kind of an environment too, where you're having so many different instruments to get the clearest vocals. Yeah, you can't be mad at them for doing that, and I can understand completely why they would. But I'm sure there's people out there that'll be like, this doesn't sound like it got recorded in there because I'm a sound expert, and the sound waves would have been bouncing back if she was near that way. So either she's not really in there and you're lying, or you did something, and then they have to deal with that whole nonsense pretty much. Did you say what genre that was? I apologize.
I didn't, man. Because there's so much going on. Like, there's funk influences, there's EDM influences, there's obviously, like, orchestral influences.
I just wasn't sure if there was, like, a genre or a classification for what that was. I mean, not everything will have that, but if there was something, I was curious what that would be called.
Let me see if there's what it says on Spoofy. Knower's sound comes from electronic dance, hard-hitting funk, cool chords, and deep melodies. Okay.
I can agree.
That's fitting. Yeah, that's pretty on point.
That's well written, yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, EDM and funk, those are the first two things I said, so...
Yep.
And then cool chords and deep melodies. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I can hear that too. Absolutely, that's right. Yeah, interesting. The one thing, and I don't know if this is a product of that synthesizer / keyboard sound, but there were parts of it that reminded me of like Mates of State or Matt and Kim. Like there were some parts where they're doing some stuff where it kind of just had like, I can't remember what part it was exactly. I'd have to listen back to the song a second time and kind of just be like, oh, here it is, if we listen to it together later. And maybe if you wanted to, we could, because I wanted to see I don't know how familiar you are with those bands, but there's some parts of it that just, I don't know if it's like those keyboard parts where he's kind of doing some other different stuff, or maybe it's something in the background that's going on too, but it's fun to kind of hear other stuff in there that I might hear from something else too. I think that's something that kept me locked in with all the different sounds that were going on, was like hearing some other similar things and other things that I've heard and I've been a fan of from other bands, right?
Yeah. And I think something else that would keep a listener locked in is there's a lot of discordant parts in this song where there's tension, and I really think it's during the verses mostly. Mm-hmm. There's those sort of like odd chords on the keyboard, and I don't know enough music theory to be able to say what they are. I could say something. They sound like diminished chords, but I don't know enough to say if that's for sure or not, but it's this thing that happens in music in general, like even without theory. It's just this feeling of tension that becomes resolved in the chorus when it hits that soaring chorus and the chords resolve again, and you're like, okay, now I feel this relief that tension and discordance is gone. And it's something that I feel like is done like masterfully in this song.
Absolutely. I didn't even I don't think I could have done a very good job of explaining what you just did, because I agree with that. I agree with everything you just said there. Like there is a lot of that felt through just the juxtaposition of when they're not on the same beat, but they still are, but it doesn't feel like they are. I noticed that a lot, and that makes sense with what's going on with if you look more into the lyrics, right?
The lyrics, yes, we haven't touched on that yet, but the verses at least are pretty nonsensical.
Yeah, it seems a little bit of just like backwards talk. Not in a bad way, just like I there maybe there's something there and I don't know what they're exactly talking about. But anyway, go on.
Yes, got here late, skip the heat, my chicken walker is valet parked. Like what? My chicken walker is valet parked.
Yeah.
I don't know what she means by that.
I could not think of a single thing. I think it's funny that that line, I actually am right next to it too. It follows up after saying, my chicken walker is valet parked black hole, I've always been a star. Well, if you're a star and you're talking about a black hole, I would never know, because if you're that close to a black hole, it sucks in light, right? Like,
It's got this weird sense of like it's nonsensical, but if you kind of have that feeling that if you search for a deeper meaning, you might find one, but you also have no idea what it would be. Because when you hit the chorus, it's so like just the title of the song. It's all nothing until it's everything. Like that's a very existential sounding phrase in itself. And then the chorus lyrics are it has that again sort of existential type of feel. Everything will lead to everything, doing what I can, starting where I am. This feels like it makes sense, but again, also vaguely nonsensical at the same time, even though it sounds deep. And they are a band that is also very tongue-in-cheek a lot of the time. And they do it so well that you're unsure what's serious and what's not.
okay.
So this song is a prime example of that, where I'm like, is this like a really deep existential song? Or is it a song like they have a song called The Government Knows? That is, the chorus is literally, the government knows when you masturbate. And that's what the entire song is about. How the government knows when you're sitting in front of your computer jerking it to porn. And that's what the entire song is about.
That's actually hilarious. I wonder if this is almost like I don't know if you or our fans either are, if we have those. Hopefully we have some fans, are also fans of the TV show 30 Rock. If you're familiar with 30 Rock, then you might know as well, but for those of you that are, you know, and those of you that aren't, 30 Rock was written to over embellish the characters that the people were, and they played themselves with slightly different names. So Tina Fey plays a character named Liz Lemon, but she's from the same part of Pennsylvania that she was from. Tracy Morgan is on the show. He plays himself as Tracy Jordan. Jane Krakowski is on the show. She plays herself as Jenna Maroney. Alec Baldwin's on the show. He plays himself, or someone that would be in his era of things, as Jack Donaghy. But like, if you watch a few episodes, you'll catch on quick that they're playing like the very over over stereotyped version of what they would be, like the blonde actress that needs all the attention, and then the writer that never gets anything right, and blah 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 blah, and so on and so forth. So is that maybe they're known for having some of those darker, deeper songs, those like existential songs? Is this like them spoofing themselves by having a bunch of like you said, the deep, darker lyrics that seem like they don't mean anything, but you can look into them and stare into them as much as you want, and then you'll find your own meaning. But then, is that really what they were about, or are you just looking into it too much?
Honestly, I feel like it's entirely possible. It's that sort of thing where, if you go to a museum and you just stand there staring at a piece of art and you don't know what the artist's intention was or what they're trying to get across with their art. So you come up with your own interpretation and you're like, that sounds right. And then you look to see what the artist was trying to get across and you're like, wow, I was completely wrong. Or it might be one of those art pieces where they don't explain what the artist was trying to get across. So then you have those moments where you're talking to someone else who's looking at it and they go, oh, this is what I think. And you go, well, this is what I think. You both could be right. You both could be wrong. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Those are fun conversations to have sometimes too. I actually had a conversation like that recently with somebody. We went to go see an art exhibit that was going on, and he was familiar with the artist and I wasn't. So we went there, and I was looking at pieces, and he was telling me what he knew, and then I was noticing things and calling those out in some instances, and he was like, "Oh wow, that's actually awesome. I've never seen that before. I never looked at it that way before." And I was like, "Oh, that's really cool." And then like he'd call something else out. I'm like, "I didn't even notice that when I first looked by." So like it's always really fun to have that kind of new eyes and old eyes on something, right? Because someone that might have seen it a bunch would see it one way, and someone that's never seen it at all before could see a whole bunch of stuff that you never even noticed. So you're sitting there and having that conversation, like you just said, and like, oh, I think this, and I think that. And it's like, oh, it can open up the mind a lot to see like what the two different people are interpreting. Kind of like this show.
Kind of, yeah. And this is a little bit of an aside, not that we ever do that, but I think that's also part of why I enjoy instrumental music so much too, because a lot of times when a song has lyrics, it's pretty easy to discern what the singer is trying to get across. In a song like this, maybe not so much. But with
I'm,
an instrumental song, it's much easier to apply your own imagery or motivation to the music. And I think that's what fascinates me, where if I were to play an instrumental song, which I know I'll get back to, and something I like to ask is like, what did this bring to mind for you? Because
mm-hmm.
even for me, having written some of my own music, a lot, all of it's instrumental. But when I play it for people, I'm like, well, what did this evoke in you? And it's interesting that a decent amount of the time, when someone says like, oh, this is what it brought to mind, I can be like, yeah, actually, that's exactly what I was going for.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I think that sort of interpretation is, it's really fascinating to me. And even in a case of a song like this, when the lyrics are sort of like loosey goosey, I don't know if this is nonsense or if this is really deep. It's interesting to see what someone can get out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost this might sound more of a joke than I mean it to be, and that's why I chuckle. But it's almost like playing Mad Libs with music, right? Like here's what I wrote. What do you see? What can you add in here? Or maybe have fun adding stuff into here and trying to think about it so much. But I mean, one thing that I liked about it, and I was gonna say that the lyrics might seem kind of all over the place, but then also the song is too. And I think maybe that's a part of it, or maybe it's not a part of it. But when you were calling out before on the chorus, everything will lead to everything. doing what I can, starting where I am. It's all nothing till it's everything. All of that's kind of happening and talking about like, hey, whatever's going to happen in life's going to happen, etc., etc. And that's kind of how the song builds too. It starts with very little, with just the core group, and then the lyrics start to come in, and then here's a whole bunch more, and then here's a whole bunch more, and then the same thing with like the lyrics too. It starts off in the verse one where there's maybe bits and fragments that might make sense somewhere, and then the chorus leads into that same general feeling. It says it's a pre-chorus, but I guess whatever. It has that feeling like we're here, we're all here, everything's everywhere, you can't control it, that's just life. Whatever's going on in verse 2, because there's some parts here that make sense and some parts that don't, right? You called out your favorite line before. And then the last part of the chorus almost feels like that a different way of what people say in church. Start, end, back again, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. And then like moments don't forget, like, yeah, it happened. So you can't pretend like it didn't. Everyone knows that it happened, you got to move forward with it. And it does that again too in the second part where it does the same kind of, I think it's the same vocals. I think it's the same lyrics rather. And then just saying like, I'll make the best of what I can. So maybe like, yeah, maybe there's parts where it's just like random thoughts going through their head, and then the chorus is kind of like the actual song, or who knows, maybe the whole song's the actual song. Again, we can sit here and speculate all day long. That's what we're here for. But yeah, I think it's a fun song. I definitely want to listen to it a second time, just to kind of go through it all and hear it all again, because there is a lot, and I want to see any kind of stuff I didn't hear the first time through. And I definitely want to get to those parts that I feel like were that other band influence that I mentioned before with Matt and Kim or Mates of State, which are two very similar but very different bands, right? Like, they're both a male-female group. One does one thing, one does the other, but instead of just the guy singing and the girl singing together in Mates of State versus just Matt singing mostly in Matt and Kim. But yeah, and they both have like the synthesizer slash whole thing, so I can understand the similarities, but not. But yeah, I want to go back and find out what those were, and I also want to hear it through it again, because I don't know. Is the singer, what was her name again?
Genevieve Artadi.
Do you know if by chance what language her first language is? Because I couldn't really tell if she was singing with an accent, or do you know what I mean?
I don't know offhand, no.
Okay, I wasn't sure how much it said or anything like that. Or like, what do you hear in her voice? Do you think that it sounds differently, or am I just hearing it because of the way that the recording was done? Maybe.
I don't know if I would say she has an accent or anything like that, but she has a very ad-libby style of singing, and not in the sense of her lyrics, but kind of in that Michael Jackson style where there's just kind of like a lot of sounds. Like, she kind of squeaks a lot, and she'll do these just vocal ad-libs, not lyrical. But
yeah,
she just kind of has a lot going on in her singing style.
Gotcha. And maybe that's what that is too. I don't have enough exposure to what she was doing, and I don't have enough exposure to them as a band. Not that, yeah, but yeah, I think that was very interesting, because the way it sounded, like there were parts where it seemed like it was harder to decipher what she was saying, and I don't know if that's also the intention of the way that she was singing it, or what was going on with the band, because I was trying to read along while also reading the lyrics on the bottom, and then also pay attention to everything that was going on the screen, because there was a lot building. Yeah, and there's a lot of just different, like, it's fun to see what's going on with the way they built that music video up, just constantly scaling back a little bit further, a little bit further, a little bit further, and seeing a little bit more of what was happening as the song also grew and changed with it. So yeah, it's definitely something to check out, to watch and appreciate what they did and how they did, because it is a very well done recording, considering the situation that they're recording in and the rooms that they're recording in. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I think it's also worth noting that something that I have noticed with this group is the vocals aren't mixed particularly high. And she also
Yeah.
has a lower voice, like a lower register, to where her voice blends in a lot more with the instrumentation rather than popping out.
Yeah.
There's another song on this album that I actually thought about choosing, which I still might do at a later date, called
Yeah.
"Crash the Car," but it starts off very soft, and that includes the vocals. And I remember I played the song for a friend, and she was listening on headphones, and she was like, "It sounds like she's licking my ears." Just because it, like just because of the way the vocals were mixed, and her voice is so low, and it sounds so like close. So
That's interesting.
yeah, that's just, I guess it's sort of that ASMR type thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just gonna say that's definitely a feeling I've haven't been able to describe but can understand after we talked about that ASMR stream the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was yeah. Anywho, I don't want to get back down that rabbit hole. That was just a weird. That was such a weird stream. I don't want to think about it ever again. But yeah, that would be interesting to hear that song. I'm actually going to listen to this song again, but purposefully not listen to any more, just in case, because I want to have that blindness to another song of theirs, especially if you plan on playing another one.
Yeah. I know we're going kind of long here. We'll wrap it up soon, but I do want to just shout out. We've talked about the orchestra, we've talked about the vocalists. I want to shout out the sheer musicality of the entire group.
Yeah.
They are perhaps one of the tightest bands I've ever heard. Just their synchronization is so on point. Lewis Cole is an amazing drummer. He does solo stuff. He does this. If you've ever heard of Clowncore, the worst kept secret, that's Lewis Cole as well. It's Lewis Cole and Sam Gendel of KNOWER fame. He's a bonkers drummer. And part of what you were talking about, how it felt like some sort of things were off time. There's I think it's literally called Drum Solo. He just has a song called Drum Solo, and it's all him. It's in 4/4 time, but the way he chops the beat up, it sounds like it's in some crazy time signature. But if you count it and listen to it, you're like, no, it's 4/4. He's just a crazy drum player.
That's something that definitely needs to be admired for sure, is the talents of people, because even that kit, it was very interesting to look at too, with the different symbols attached to the heads and everything like that.
Yeah.
That was something.
And if anyone has not watched the video, that entire piano solo played by Ray, one hand. The entire solo is one hand. Just his right hand.
Why would just because you could?
Weird
or
flex,
what,
bro, right?
Honestly, it was one of those things where it's like, there's no way you have to do that, right?
But he can.
Is it weird flex or weird stretch, bro? Because that hand.
Yeah. Maybe both. Both.
Another one of those, leave a little bit of talent for some other people here, bud. But in all honesty, aside from the saltiness, that was fantastic, and they do deserve the kudos that they are getting for that, and more so. More attention needed. Aside from the curtain call, I agree. I don't know there was much else to say at that point. We covered everything, and then you just covered a bit more right there yourself that definitely could have been touched on. Maybe we will have to do another episode just so we can talk about them more as a group, because that was very fun to watch and very interesting to hear.
Yeah, I'd be glad to do a deep dive down the Lewis Cole rabbit hole, man. He's such a great artist, so I'd willingly bring a lot more Lewis Cole to the table.
Hey, I'm down for it. If you want to do a little couple shows in a row of Lewis Cole rabbit hole, we can do that.
Yeah, maybe.
Or we can plan it for the future, whichever you want to do.
Yeah, we'll see what the future brings. I like
I don't
being
want to put
unpredictable.
I was going to say, it's more fun to not hold ourselves to anything, so we can continue to just keep having fun.
That's right.
Because hopefully that shines through so that you share us with your friends. Tell people about us. Use social media. That's right. because important long-winded information and ADHD don't mix. But I hope if you've made it to this point, you like what Scoops and I are doing, and hopefully you like it so much you want to shout it from the top of a mountain. But it would be a whole lot more helpful if you told your friends about us instead. Word of mouth or listening with someone is our favorite, but social media is also great, and you can interact with us there too. So please come by our Instagram, Blue Sky, or Facebook, where you can find us as The Feedback, or on Twitter, formerly known as Twitter /X, at @thefeedback_PC to see what's coming next, suggest a song, talk about our latest episode, or just talk about anything.
Is there any smash that rate us 5 stars on whatever? Is that still a thing?
I hope so. Since you said it now, we better have 5 stars somewhere, even if it's just 5 stars and a comment.
Yeah.
Darn it.
Also, I forgot to do this last week. I've done it once a week. I don't know. I forgot to do this last time. Our intro and outro music, Egg by Exile. You can find it. You can use it yourself. It's basically royalty free. All he asks is that you shout him out, which I'm doing right now.
Yes. And thank you for that, because he deserves it as well. They deserve it as well. They deserve it as well.
Now, how weird would that be if I was like, all right, today's song is Egg by Exile, and we just do an analysis on our intro and outro music.
I'm kind of surprised we haven't. But yeah, I think that's it for me. I'll let you wrap things up here.
All right. Well, everyone, thank you for listening. I feel like this one's going to be a little on the long side. We'll see what happens in post. But if you made it this far, we appreciate you. And tune in next time to see what else we dig up. Goodbye.
Well, I will say this. If you want to know what it would look like for Jason Momoa and Jack Black to 69 in air.
Oh boy.
It is absolutely called out awkwardly and purposefully, and it is definitely the adult humor in the movie, and it is there. And at one point, Jack Black reaches around and grabs Jason Momoa's butt to crawl back around. Oh, I forgot to mention, before this all started, Jack Black was riding Jason Momoa, who had a set of wings, and he was using his hair to control the way that he was flying. And the quote that he said, and my fiance and I looked at each other and just started dying laughing, was, "Don't fight it, let my hips guide you."